Hey guys, welcome to Not So Basic Things. My name is Patrick. Today, we're going to remove battery acid from a battery. So as you can see, we've got some battery acid built up here on the side of the positive terminal, and we've got some over here on the negative terminal as well. Now there's a couple of different methods that you can use to do this. The one that I'm the most familiar with is just to go to the auto parts store and pick up battery cleaner. But another way that I've read about is by using baking soda and just a little bit of water. And so we're going to try both of these methods and see if the baking soda method works as well as the one that I'm familiar with. So let's give it a shot. Okay, the first thing we're going to try, baking soda. So I'm just going to sprinkle baking soda onto the affected area. And we're going to put a little water on there. Now, I'm not going to scrub this. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to let it sit. So the battery cleaner here says to let it sit for 3 minutes. We're going to give it 5 minutes. I'm going to let this sit for 5 minutes, and then we're going to let the other stuff sit for 5 minutes and see what happens. I guess the other thing that we should talk about is why you should care about this. Well, there's two reasons that I can think of right off the top of my head. The first one is this battery corrosion can actually leave you stranded on the side of the road as it wicks and builds its way between the terminal and the clamp on the battery. It can make it seem like you've got a bad battery or a bad alternator, which in actuality what you have is just too much corrosion and resistance, byproduct of having the corrosion, in between the terminal and the battery clamp, and so you're not getting power to the starter like you need, or you're not getting that charging voltage from the alternator to the battery. The second reason is this is highly corrosive, so it can actually destroy the battery clamps, and over time anything that it gets onto. So there isn't a lot of corrosion here. We want to take care of it before it gets too bad. It's been 5 minutes. So, using the instructions from the off-the-shelf battery cleaner, now we're just going to rinse this off with water. A word of caution here, you don't want to apply too much pressure in between where the cap meets up with the battery, because we don't want to try to, or risk, shoving that baking soda down into the battery. It's a low risk, but we still want to be careful with that. Wow, that actually worked better than I thought it was going to. Now, before I give you a close-up and kind of show you how this went, you'll notice that I rinsed all the way around here. We don't want that battery acid dropping down onto another part of the car somewhere and then sitting there, because it will corrode whatever it lands on. So rinse this off really well. You'll also notice I was spraying straight down on the battery, not at an angle like I was mentioning before. That is a significant improvement over what it was before. I'm quite pleased, actually. Okay, now let's do the other battery that I've got with the battery cleaner. So here is our other battery. The terminals on this one aren't too bad. They're dirty, but not necessarily corroded. But look at the clamp. We've got a fair amount of corrosion right there. So that is what I'm going to target. You can see a little bit on this side as well. Okay, 5 minutes. Okay, it's been 5 minutes. Let's see how they compare. not bad. However, if you look right down underneath there, you can still see battery acid under there. Now, probably asking an awful lot of any product to be able to get that out of there. All we've got to do is take that nut off and take that nut off. This clamp comes off, and then we can spray that down with either baking soda or the battery cleaner, and that'll come right off. So in terms of which one works better, that's kind of a tough one to call. They both really work pretty well. I will say the battery cleaner that I've used in the past is a different manufacturer than that one is. I remember it working better. So bear that in mind depending on which one you buy. There could be differences in performance from the off-the-shelf stuff. The baking soda works surprisingly well. Bottom line is, I think either works just fine. Most of us have baking soda sitting on the shelf or in your refrigerator. And so if you've got a buildup of battery acid on your battery, well then that's a really easy thing to do. If you really want to make sure you get all the corrosion off of there, you can just take these terminals off, and while they're sitting here, sprinkle the baking soda or the battery cleaner on there, give it 5 minutes and let it rest. That way we're not trying to sneak down into those really tight crevices and cracks and small clearances between the clamp and the battery terminal. One thing to keep in mind though, battery acid, as I've said before, it's extremely corrosive. It is not something you want to get on your hands, so make sure you put gloves on before you go doing that. They also sell scrubbers that are a male and female, where you can scrub the inside of the battery terminal and the top of the battery. I have one of those. I prefer not to use it if I can help it. Now I will use one if I'm replacing the battery, but they emit dust as you break that stuff off of there, and that dust is battery acid. So it's not really something you want to be breathing, so it's something that I am careful with, we'll say, and I would encourage you to do the same. So this is fairly low risk, it's very easy, it's very quick to do, and it can save you quite a bit of headache later on down the road. Hope you enjoyed today's video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and take a look at the video description page. I will link to a couple of helpful things in Amazon for doing this job if you want to do it at home. Thanks. Take care of yourself.